After a hard day, I strolled in, expecting a peaceful evening. But instead, I was met by an uncanny stillness, an unnatural quiet that had no business being here. My mom, my wife, my boys, and Peter, best buddy of them all, sat on the couch, with expressionless eyes. The room had an unsettling vibe. There wasn't the typical tension that sometimes lingered when I was around. I had returned home after a long day, yet it wasn't the odor of Doris's overcooked meal that signaled something was wrong. No, it was the way my son sat, rigid, as if bracing for impact. This wasn't about a simple argument. This was deeper. As I tried to read the room, I dropped my briefcase to the floor and rolled my shoulders. "What's wrong?" I inquired, forcing myself to keep my voice calm. No one spoke at first. Their silence made my skin crawl. Then my eldest son, Michael, cleared his throat. His next words would haunt me forever. "Dad, sit down. You need to accept a fresh perspective. You're no longer the head of this household. Uncle Peter has taken on more of a paternal role for us." "Excuse me?" My voice sounded perfectly normal as I blinked, sure that I had misheard. A forced calm battled the heat blazing inside my chest. Michael wouldn't look at me. His fingers tapped against his knee, a nervous tic he'd had since childhood. But I wasn't focused on him anymore. My attention shifted to one person, the one person who should have stopped this. Doris. She sat there, hands folded neatly, in her lap. Her expression unreadable. Not surprised, not apologetic, just neutral. She knew. They all did. My mother shifted slightly, exhaling as if this moment had been long expected. She wasn't surprised. She wasn't upset. She was complicit. And Peter, my so-called best friend, didn't even flinch. His stance was relaxed, like this entire affair was just another business meeting. He looked comfortable. Too comfortable. Like he belonged there. Like he had been in my seat for a while. The realization hit me like a hammer to the chest. This wasn't new. This wasn't spontaneous. This had been planned. I glanced at my sons, hoping, pleading, for even a trace of regret. But Michael was resolute. And Eric, my younger son, though less vocal, didn't look away. He didn't dispute it. I took a slow, deliberate breath, holding down the wrath bubbling beneath my skin. I had spent years mastering the art of control, dealing with merciless men in the courtroom, dismantling opposing arguments with precision. But this wasn't a legal battle. This was war, and I had walked straight into an ambush. "Peter is more like a father to you?" I repeated, my voice alarmingly even. Michael nodded, his mouth tightening. "Yeah, I didn't look at Peter yet. Not yet. I wasn't ready to acknowledge him. Instead, I turned to Doris. "Doris," I said, my voice laced with something harsh, something deadly. "Is there anything you'd like to add?" For the first time, her composure cracked. She inhaled sharply, brushing down the fabric of her dress as if that could lessen the weight of her betrayal. She wasn't ready for this conversation. That was my first victory. "I guess it's best if we all—" I held up a hand. No. No generic, rehearsed remarks. No deflections. My voice was a blade, cutting through the thick silence. "Tell me, Doris, when exactly did my role as your husband and their father die? Was it gradual? Or did you make the decision in a single night while lying in my bed?" Her lips parted, but no words came out. That was my second victory. She hadn't expected resistance. She had expected me to either explode or break. Instead, I was calculating, cold, controlled. And then, finally, I turned to Peter. Peter, the man I had once trusted with everything. The man who had been there for the birth of my children, who had toasted at my wedding, who had celebrated my victories and grieved my losses. The man I had considered a brother. And now, He sat in my house, in my presence, waiting for me to acknowledge that he had won. He was waiting for me to lose control. I smiled. A slow, unsettling smile, the kind that made opposing lawyers nervous in the courtroom. Peter's confidence wavered. And that was my third victory. I breathed in, stepping back, straightening my cuffs as if this entire betrayal was nothing more than an interesting footnote in my evening. The room was claustrophobic, the walls closing in, but I wouldn't let them see it. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of knowing they had hurt me. Instead, I looked toward the door. "You have something to say?" Peter finally asked, his voice smooth, controlled, cocky. I hesitated, tilting my head slightly, letting the moment stretch, letting the tension coil. Then, I chuckled. A low, knowing grin. That was my fourth victory. Without another word, I walked out, because this wasn't the night I lost. No, this was the night I prepared, and by the time they realized what was coming, it would be far too late. Always paid in advance. He never even thought about it. But as he checked his financial records, his heart started racing. The money was gone. His father had pulled everything. Michael had always imagined, always believed, that his education was something assured. That it would always be there, just like his father always had been. Now, he wasn't so sure about either. He reflected back to what they had told him, only last night. Uncle Peter is more like a father to us. Suddenly, his stomach twisted. He had chosen badly. Eric's lifestyle. Crumbles, Eric was the first one to break the stillness. "Mom," he snapped, running a hand through his hair. "I just tried to buy gas and my card was refused. Again." Doris barely responded. She just kept staring at her phone, her mind elsewhere. Eric scoffed, pacing. "I called the bank. Guess what? My account has been drained." He wheeled around, gazing at his mother and sibling. "Is anyone going to say it? Dad is cutting us off." Michael clenched his mouth but still said nothing. Doris, however, finally let out a deep breath. "Yep," she conceded. "He is." Eric let out an angry chuckle, putting his palms up. "Yeah, that's simply amazing. I mean, honestly, what did you think was going to happen? You let Uncle Peter walk all over him, and now we're all screwed." Doris snapped her head toward him. "I didn't let Peter do anything," she growled. "Your father—" She stopped herself, exhaling sharply. "Your father is just retaliating, that's all," Eric yelled again. "Retaliating? Mom, wake up! Dad is burning everything. Down!" And for the first time that day, Doris believed it. The phone call that altered everything. When the house phone rang, the entire room went quiet. Doris picked it up so swiftly that she nearly dropped it. "David?" she whispered. But the voice on the other end wasn't David's. Was her mother, and her tone was cutting. "Cruel." "Doris," Margaret said. "Are you sitting down?" Doris frowned, grasping the phone harder. "What's wrong?" Margaret exhaled, as if bracing for something big. Then she whispered the words that made Doris's vision waver. "Your father's retirement fund is gone." Doris's mouth grew dry. "What?" she whispered. Margaret continued, her voice stable. "I checked this morning. The accounts. The ones David maintained for us, they're emptied. Every last cent. We're broke, Doris." Doris couldn't breathe. "But that's not possible. David wouldn't—" "Oh, wouldn't he?" Margaret's voice sharpened. "Because I think he would. And I think he just did." Doris's mind reeled. Her father, her mother. They had relied on David for years. His investments, his management, his ability to make things work. And now? Now, it was everything. Gone. She forced her eyes shut. Her own parents were paying for her. Error. And for the first time since this all began, she felt something she never thought she would. Regret.